Hi, good night, everyone. Today is Thursday, October 18th, 2018. Good night to our viewers and to our members. Welcome to Frontline. My name is Janice Amonda Creaky, and I am the Public Relations Officer of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And my co-host tonight is, as usual, the lovely Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party. I know that we have said that we wanted to take a look at China's role as a key lender to countries around the world and how it has affected those countries. We have to remember that we are just a dot in the ocean, and I will keep saying this over and over until it starts to sink in to our brains, and that is China can gobble us up and spit us out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Someone posted on Facebook an article written by Ria Tate dated May 24th, 2018, titled 10 Chinese Factories in New Industrial Park. Imbert details the benefits of the PM's trip. But we're going to stick a pin in that for now. So stay tuned for our next show next week, and we will bring that issue up on the show. Tonight we're going to talk about issues that are in the public space. And high on the agenda is the prison officers who are ready to resign. Does a cigarette truck have more value than the life of a prison officer? This is the opening statement in a local newspaper report based on a question asked by the president of the Prison Officers Association, Mr. Richards. This statement was made after a police officer was killed at his home. So just what have the prison officers been asking for? Let's see.
Well, Janice, before you brought this story to me today, I had no idea this was even happening in a public space. And I told myself, we have Frontline tonight, and we're going to be discussing all the hot topics. And the first topic that I see on to discuss is something that I have no idea about. So, of course, you turn to me and you ask me my opinion. But I've been seeing, even though I am not very up to date, I've been seeing and hearing all of the bacchanal, I would say, for lack of a better word, happening in the prison services right now. With the whole lockdown that Gary had, about a week and a half ago. What I don't understand though is that how at this point they have not managed to secure the prisons. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but
I think the prisons is similar to the police service, where you have some good officers and not some not so good officers. So I think it's the same sort of situation there, and there has to be a method of going about dealing with the officers, because there's two sides to the coin with respect to the situation with the prison officers.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where, and I do apologize for bringing this.
No.
Throwing this onto you just
no,
like
no,
that.
that's okay, because like I said, I just was not up to date with the latest developments with that article. I did not see it,
Right.
but I have been following, and it's not. That's a good thing about the good/bad thing about this country is that news is nothing fresh, is nothing new. It has been happening for a while in the country, and we have every so often there's some killing of some officer, and we're back to discussing it again as current news.
Yes, I was looking to see, and I know that I had it here somewhere in this, where they talked about 17 officers killed within the last 15 years. 17 officers within the last 15 years. So that's like, what, one a month? One a year? Well, it's still too much anyway. Well, all right. Not a problem, because I have some stuff here that I want to bring to our members and our viewers, bring forth for their information. Because, this program is about educating, empowering, and enlightening the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So let's go through this that I have here. The Prison Officers Association Secretary, Mr. Gordon, said a key element is legislation which will send a signal to the criminal element that the government and the state is serious about the issue of attacks on officers of the security forces. He said the murders being perpetrated are not against the prison officers alone. It is a complete disregard for the authorities, and the state needs to respond in an extremely open and aggressive manner to stymie the thought of wanting to kill a law enforcement official in Trinidad and Tobago. The government needs to be strong and legislate and not just talk. According to Gordon, the protection of prison officers is interwoven with the management of the justice system. We are soft targets. The failure of the judiciary to deal with cases in a timely manner adds to the pressures behind prison walls. The judiciary dragging their belly, the complete failed organization, the judiciary, they're comfortable that men locked up 7 and 8 years, and I'm not talking about guilt or innocence because we can't even get to that point, Gordon said. He said when prisoners go to court and their matters are adjourned without being heard, they come back with an attitude, and rightfully so. So they come back vexed and frustrated. Some inmates, he said, commit suicide because of the delay in their matters, and prison officers often have to be mother, father, tanti, nenen, priest, and doctor. We have to be everything, and what do we get? Apart from the legislation, he said, they have been begging for housing, but he lamented that what has happened is that officers are now allocated homes in HDC developments where ex-prisoners also reside.
What?
Yes. There is a single female prison officer right now. She's living between 2 ex-prisoners, he said.
Madness.
Commissioner Wilson said that. It just goes to show you have the unguarded moment, but what officers feel is that having weapons, because you know there's been this whole debate about giving off-duty prison officers arms. So he's saying that what the officers feel is that having weapons will give them a fighting chance, and you can't blame anyone who feels that way. In November 2017, prison officers in Trinidad and Tobago went about seeking asylum in Canada, citing fears over the personal safety following the murder of at least 2 officers in recent weeks at that time. Now, before we go there, it's I think in 2 other cases, in 2 cases, yes, the prison officers who were killed actually had weapons.
So
but yet they died,
they still...
right? One, I think it was Hercules was his name. He had his weapon actually stolen from him after he was killed.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying. The prison officers are trying to put forward this argument that by having guns on them will give them a fighting chance if they are being attacked. But prison officers, by extension, their families no longer feel safe in Trinidad and Tobago. So because of that, in November last year, they were all looking to seek asylum and I think they were going to the Canadian Embassy to try and see how best that they can plead their case, and which will allow them to migrate to Canada. This Richards also went on to say that we are going through with what could be the only life-saving step for both members and their families. Now, there's another side of the coin to this whole melee. I came across a blog called TNT Monitor, and there was an article that was written on the 30th of October 2017, which addressed no firearms for off-duty Trinidad and Tobago prison officers. And the article goes on to state, arming of arming off-duty prison officers is not the answer. Weeding out compromised and corrupt officers is the only sensible and practical solution, because we may very well be arming the same officers who, together with criminal elements, are plotting the assassination of their colleagues.
I agree and disagree. And then I don't know if I can interject at this
Of course.
point. Because, I mean, we just read that article that was, when was it? The first one?
The first one? Yes. The one with the citing of the prison officers wanting to migrate to Canada, that was in November 2017. And the upper part came actually from today's papers.
Okay, because that issue that they mentioned with, you know, the fact that prisoners are stuck behind bars for 8, 9, 10 years waiting a trial is also part of the problem. Because, I mean, yes, of course, I agreed with that last article that giving them arms is not the answer, because that's like citizens, not regular citizens, saying that, you know, crime is on an increase, so I want to get a gun.
Right.
The truth is that yes, some people need protection. Yes, some people are in certain circumstances where a firearm may become necessary. But the root cause is the crime in the country. That is what needs to be addressed. Similarly with the prison officers, the root cause is that, well, not the only root cause, but one of them is that people are frustrated behind bars, and I'm sure there's going to be some clash between them and the prison officers, and they can call it, they're going to call it hits from outside. So, I mean, I agree, but it can't be weeding out and compromise. Yes, perfect, but you have to go a step further.
Yes,
you have to fix the fact that we have a broken justice system where people are stuck behind bars.
Yes. And
nowhere to let out this frustration.
Yeah, that whole judiciary situation I address a little lower down after I came up with this the article on the internet. Now, before we move on with that, I just want to read what I got from off of this blog, which is giving the other side of the coin. So they're saying that being in possession of a firearm does not guarantee the safety of the off-duty prison officer. None other than Prison Commissioner Mike Hercules learned this the hard way when a 16-year-old gentleman, I won't read what is written here, from Mova, shot him dead and stole his firearm. People generally need to take responsibility for their own actions and, by extension, their own safety, and prison officers are not exempt from that need to exercise reasonable and sensible precaution as they go about their daily off-duty routines. They, more than anyone else, ought to be aware of the occupational risks they face when, incidentally, they are paid to face, both on and off the job. The Commissioner needs to examine to what extent the activities of his officers behind prison walls contribute to attacks they sustain on the outside. It has been established on many occasions, even in the courts, that prison officers inflict unnecessary and unprovoked brutality on inmates, many times simply because of the officers' ignorance, their bullying nature, and their own criminal predisposition to violence. And when these acts of criminal behavior involving the abuse of prisoners are reported, a web of deception and perjured testimony is concocted and weaved by the prison's brotherhood up to the highest levels to frustrate, pervert, and derail the wheels of justice. No firearms for off-duty prison officers. No special housing consideration for them either, other than what they can qualify for. Clean up the service and let them simply behave themselves on the job. Attacks against them on the outside may very well cease. Now, the judiciary is in a mess. In a report from a local newspaper, again, today's papers, it was reported that the criminal registry at the Port of Spain High Court is in chaos and needs urgent attention from the Minister in the Office of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs. A source says that files are always missing or misplaced, and documents are dislodged from files, increasing the chances of lost information. It is a recipe for corruption since there are no proper checks and balances. Further complaints are that court clerks are not taking responsibility when files are missing or misplaced. New judges are keeping court files in their office. Court clerk leaving court files with hearing dates in the judge's chamber. OT trainees are being hired to work in the department where sensitive information are dealt with. These young people always on the phone, Facebook, or playing games, and senior staff members cannot speak to them. They come and leave as they please. The source indicated that they would like Minister Young to know what is taking place before it escalates into a worse crisis. So it appears, as I said earlier, that there are two sides to the coin. Mm-hmm. They have the officers who are being killed, and their colleagues feel that they are not safe, and they would like some form of protection when they are off duty. And the other coin, the other side is, there should not be a need to give them arms. Mm-hmm. They should be looking at weeding out the bad apples within the service, because obviously there seems to be a perception that there are officers who abuse the inmates. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a story where one guy got beaten up badly. It is alleged that he was beaten by the officers because he said he made a statement of how it was being the prison officers was taking advantage of two other inmates that they were beating up. Mm-hmm. So they in turn, after beating up the two inmates, turned and started to beat him up. And he took the state to court and won and got compensated, because the beating was so severe that it damaged, the things were, he couldn't
serious injuries.
He sustained, some injuries that lasted for quite a while. So I think that both sides need to be looked at and addressed.
Well, I mean, definitely one with the justice system when you look at
Correct.
it. That, I mean, it's a pet peeve for me, because thinking of people languishing away, thinking of people going through what you have to go through here. Was it this country? Boy, I think it was Trinidad. Mm-hmm. Somewhere I recently read about someone who, yes, I think it was Trinidad. It can't be anywhere else that a madness like this would happen. Mm-hmm. He actually was supposed to be set freed years ago, and they forgot. As in, he was pardoned by the judge. No. And nobody told him that he was free or something like that, and he stayed in prison. Oh my God, I hope I am talking about Trinidad. I mean, like I say, the craziness is only happening here, but yes. I believe so. And if you look from what I'm reading here, I mean, it makes sense, because it sounds exactly, when I visit the court, when I hear about the court, when I read about the court, it seems like it's a madhouse. Like, nobody seems, there seems to be no order to anything. And I'm not surprised. Of course, I've never been behind bars. I've never been inside of the prisons to that extent to see how it is being run. But I'm not surprised that the madness and the chaos that we see from the judicial and the court system trickles down into the prison system, because I mean, they are the gatekeepers, and if they at the top can't get it right, of course they at the bottom is going to be even worse. And I'm surprised on a lot more. Actually, no, I'm not surprised. I was going to say that I'm surprised that not a lot more people have sued the states, because from the madness that you're hearing that happens inside them, both the prison officers and the inmates, I believe, have grounds to some very winnable cases, because there doesn't seem to be any real protection or like system to keep the prisoners at bay, and to keep the prison officers safe, and to keep them from hurting the prisoners unduly.
Right.
So, well, I mean,
I think we definitely need to look at it, and the judicial system really needs to be looked at as well. Because, I mean, when you look, not only that, you have the whole system of the decriminalizing of marijuana. Because quite a few inmates are inside there because they were caught with a joint in their pocket.
I believe the prison system is, I'm sure there's a statistic attached to that. I'm sorry that I don't have those figures in front of me, but there's a statistic that is attached to how many people sitting in jail and they're on marijuana and drug charges. And I believe marijuana cases hold the highest. I believe so. I need to research that. But as far as I remember, I think that is the case. And just today, when Canada, happy legalization day, Canada, to all my Canadians watching, happy legalization day. I spoke to somebody from the Canada chapter, and she's like, I'm sitting at the bus stop right now, 10 o'clock in the night, high, just excited for the day tomorrow. So kudos to you. Hope it was a fun day. Where was I going with this? God, where was I going with this?
They're just legalized. Or
yeah. So today, actually, while they legalized, I believe it was, they actually also pardoned the people who were sitting in jail on those sentences. And when I think about that down here, it bothers me so much because I think about all the little young boys and they got caught holding. Now, of course, there should be some kind of system to reprimand, and you don't want no 14 and 15-year-olds smoking weed on the corner, like that's madness. I understand, but to know that you're in a juvenile system or even prison waiting to be charged or to be processed through the system is sad because, I mean, you become, once you're in there, you become part of the system because add to that, there is no real rehabilitation being offered for prisoners while they are on the inside and when they do come out. You go in there and you come out broken, you come out tarnished, and I mean, it's not supposed to be a holiday.
Correct.
But at the same time, you're supposed to come out and be a contributing member of society. You're not supposed to come out and create more terror on society. And I would like to do a study, if I had the chance, on how many people who have come out of prison, what have their lives become after that?
Right.
Like, what have they
achieved?
What have they achieved? Have they terrorized their neighborhoods, the country? Like, what?
Well, you know, Philip has always talked about some of our solutions, the party solutions, towards dealing with the prison system. And similar to the police force, it has to be cleaned up. There's no two ways about that. Plus, we also saw where, and I mean, when you because we say that, because when you see videos on Facebook, like we saw a couple of months back, where we showed prisoners having a party with food and drinks, it really makes you, who's running the prisons? Plus, as part of the article said that who are the ones supplying the cell phones to the prisoners?
Exactly.
They can't just get it like that. Somebody has to be getting it for them and giving it to them for them to use, right? So another thing we had talked about was making our prisons into universities. Make it mandatory that they have to attend classes. Allow them to come out of there with a piece of paper where they can, allow them also to sit exams, right? Or for those who are not academic, learn a trade. So at least when they come out, they can go and earn a living and become a contributing member of society.
Think about it. You have all the time on your hands
to be doing nothing.
Bars. I remember watching and reading documentaries with people who would have gone to jail abroad and came out with their doctorate. Yeah. Imagine if you could do that here. You come out of jail and you're a doctor and you feel now. I don't know how keen I would feel about a prisoner. Like, I don't think I can be an actual doctor, obviously, but
no.
I mean, depending on what he was there for, depending on what he's practicing after, I will decide if I would go and patronize his study or business or whatever it is. But I mean, for him and his own self-esteem and for where he would be in life, of course, it is a good opportunity.
Well, I could see them
turn your life around.
Well, not just that. I could see them contributing to the youth, helping to keep the youths on a straight path. And even if they can become a doctor in whatever field, giving back to society and assisting the youth and also mentoring the young youth that would have found themselves in prison as well. Giving back to the society for helping them to achieve their doctorate.
Yeah.
Right? So, there's a lot that can be done. It's just that it has to be set up properly. And then, of course, there's the overcrowding in the prison, which does not help.
Well, it doesn't help because a lot of them in there for little small and petty crimes.
That's
and they're
right.
Still there waiting on trial. How many? We have Golden Grove. We have this one in
Frederick Street.
Mm-hmm. There's Carrera.
I believe so. Yes, the island. When you go down the island.
Who gets sent? What do you have to do to get sent to Carrera? Like, what? No, seriously. What crime do you have to commit for them to say you're not going Golden? You're too bad for Golden Grove. We're gonna isolate you on a single island.
Yes.
Because they still send people there, right?
Yes, they do. They do, because usually when you go down the islands, you see them. They come out, especially if there's music playing on the boat, right? You see them they're carrying on and enjoying themselves.
Yeah, but no, it's not funny. But still, no, I really wonder what you have to do, and I would like to ask somebody that. Richard Blaze might know.
Maybe, yes,
I know what
Richard
you have
Blaze,
to do to land yourself on a lonely little island in the sea.
Yeah, but you see, the Progressive Empowerment Party, we have definite plans and solutions on how to treat with the prison service, and not just turning the prisons into universities, but also to be building courthouses or a building where prisoners can just walk across the yard into a courtroom and face a judge. So they don't have to be put into vans and brought into Port of Spain, thereby creating traffic because they have to block off the road and all that sort of stuff, right? Thereby getting swifter justice and freeing up the system. So, these are things that we would be looking to implement, and then to the amount of money being spent in the transporting of these prisoners is phenomenal.
Astronomical. It's crazy when...
It's your money, my money, spending for it.
But Janice, remember I had done this post, remember when I went to Canada and I sent you guys a picture?
Yeah.
I got this nice little tour of the Canadian Court of Appeal, which is the last court before, I believe, what would be our version of the Privy Council, which I think is the Privy Council actually, because they swear allegiance to the Queen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they do.
And in the Court of Appeal, the courtrooms look very much like our courtrooms, same thing, except they're all equipped with digital video that allows for video conferencing between and amongst the prisons. So you don't actually, because Canada is huge, like
yes,
millions times huger than Trinidad. So you can literally have a case being heard that is in, let me use reference, it happening in San Fernando, and you are in the Port of Spain prison. Right. So there's no transportation cost, there's no traffic, there's no danger of the road and accidents and all that madness, because you can actually conference. Now, we use our technology these days to do all kinds of things. All kinds of things. We had a blimp, for God's sake. Yet we don't have video conferencing between our prisons
and the Ministry of National Security gets the largest chunk of the budget. But we don't see where that money goes.
We don't. And it seems to evaporate into thin air because we have our police service is not that big. Coast guards, the boats are always parked up. We don't have that many helicopters. What else? What else is costing? What is really costing money?
I think also that I believe also that the cost to repair is astronomical. So when they look at the cost of repairing, it's like, oh no, it's better we look to buy. What? Well, when you have to buy parts. Someone told me for both helicopters. Someone told me that they have helicopters covered up because it was going to cost them just too much for maintenance.
So then, and while we were not intending to discuss the budget, that is something that I wanted to bring up when we did have the budget the last time. We have these budgets and you hear 6 billion on this, 5 billion on that, 4 billion on this. And what I know from creating my own budgets, both for the PEP and for the company that I work, is that if you're doing an event this year and you're comparing it, and it's something that you do standard, you're supposed to be comparing costs. So you're supposed to be looking at what you spent last year, what you proposed to spend for this year based on what you actually spent, and a follow-up of the things that you were supposed to spend on. We don't get that. We don't get a breakdown. We don't know. I saw people applauding the fact that we are now going to be investing in more infrastructure. And my thought is, well, what about the infrastructure that we said we were investing in the last budget? Is any of that up yet? I visited a site when we went to check out the office space that we're getting in the east. Next to it, the guy is telling me that a school has been there. The foundation alone has been there for well over 10 years. A school that they've been promised for so long. Yet, it's just stalled, nothing is happening, and just like projects that you see all across the country, it starts, stops, you don't hear anything about it.
Yes.
But who is reporting on these things? Why am I celebrating new infrastructure when we don't have an account of the last 5 years of infrastructure, 3 years that this government has been in office, what they have spent so far? And what is the breakdown of the things that they're proposing to spend on? Don't just tell me 6 billion for national security. I need to know where that money is going. You made a report that said our borders need securing. Where in this report are you saying how you're going to do? I remember they spoke about some boats that they want to put. What about the ones that they have now?
That's right.
What is happening with those? What about those that parked up down in Shagaramas because they have no gas and all that kind of nonsense? What about that? Why are we spending more money year after year, budget after budget, recommending things and we're not seeing results?
I don't know if they're spending the money because from what I understand
how much
is that
they're for national security, 2 billion, a billion?
Well, not just that, but they are getting stuff, like for instance the gas, but they're not paying for it. So
what do you mean they're not paying for it?
Well, they're not paying for it. So when time comes for them to go and get more gas, they're told you cannot get any gas until you pay your previous bill.
You mean like the fleet card kind of thing?
Well,
I don't know how.
For instance, with the helicopters, right? It's very expensive to fly those things.
No doubt.
Right? But when you have to go and get the gas, they will go and they will get the gas. And then, of course, when the bill is submitted, they're not paying.
Well, does the government have one of the biggest debt in the country right now?
Well, actually, that's something I want to mention because I saw a report where Marlene indicated that government is owing millions of dollars for buildings that they rent in.
How many of those buildings are occupied?
Well, that's the next question. But even if it's occupied, they're owing millions of dollars to the landlords.
Do you walk through those government houses? Do you ever notice that a lot of the time when they go there, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, lunchtime, it's always the same look? Like a lot of people is stacked everywhere, but a lot of empty desks. And I wonder, I see this in all of the government offices, and I don't know if it's that all of the people work shift. I don't believe so. I don't think so. I think public servants work from 8 to 4. But imagine if we could save the time and the money and resources by having different departments housed in one building. I see the building so many things. That test building that they built in Chaguanas that is now couched between Ashley's furniture store and the other strip mall that they built lower down. That building is just there, big, empty, hollow, and I keep thinking, was that building absolutely necessary? A lot of the things that they're building now are they necessary? They're not.
One of the
Actually,
things
I'm
that
answering my own question. They're not necessary. We're
Agreed.
wasting money. We are
well, as Philip
wasting
keeps
money.
saying, it is jobs for the boys. Because you have to give out a contract to build the building. And who gets the contract?
And Trinbagonians, this is what we're trying to, this program that we have on a Thursday, we're not a Philip, but we are regular Trinbagonians who know how to articulate and how to say, in other words, different from Philip, that what we are going through as citizens is real madness, you know. You can't be building things and spending budgets and allocating budgets and not seeing the results in the country and not seeing the positive results in the country. Contractors' pockets are being fattened, their friends, government ministers, but there are no results to see in the country.
That's true. You know, when I was at TSTT many moons ago, and I worked with the GM Finance, the government was the owed TSTT, telco in those days, a lot of money. And we used to have to go and negotiate to get them to pay their telephone bill. Right? And you couldn't cut them off.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. So, you know, my thing is, a lot of money is being put aside for projects and allocated for different things. And my question is, when I read that headline about government owing millions for buildings that are being rented, I said to myself, but wait, government not paying their bills, which they should be doing, but they're busy looking to build and do all sorts of other things that are not necessary. What is this, you know, I had to sit down the other day and say, what is really going on in this country?
I had that thought recently, and Janice, I am of the firm belief that the leaders of this country, particularly leaders we have had in the past 20 years, I don't think that there's any, I can't see these people loving and wanting to invest in Trinidad and Tobago in the long term. I see, well, to me, I think they see Trinidad as a little cash cow. That right now still, because believe it or not, with all the madness and petrodollar and everything, the world, like Philip says all the time, the world's economy has grown, and we will feel the effects of that because oil, gas, all of these things, they're making money, and we pegged our budgets at a much lower cost than oil is selling for now. So we are indeed we have the money, and I think they're seeing that. Is the money being used where it should be, which is to develop this country? That's what Trinidad needs, you know, Janice. I remember sitting down in geography class or social studies class or whatever it was, not geography, social studies, and discussing Trinidad and Tobago with my young mind, and that was always the thing that we were lacking, developed starters. When I say developed, I'm not talking we need to be like America, we need to be like Japan. I'm talking about just where the basic needs of the citizens are being met. Basic needs. I asked somebody who told me that, no, this country not that bad. If I say, when last have you taken a drive down Guaguari? When last have you taken a drive down deep south to the forgotten places where we have people who live very humble, very modest lives, but they shouldn't have to. For the third wealthiest nation in the Western Hemisphere per capita, everybody should have at least a decent standard of living. Trinidadians, we don't need millions of dollars, you know. We just want to know we can buy lunch, we can buy food, and we don't have to negotiate between gas or food, lineman on the avenue or lunch next week. We don't need millions, like I say, but we just need to be able to live and not feel like we're being stifled and choked. And it's hard to look at that and then watch government ministers, this one buy a new Mustang and all of this. It's hard.
And the other thing too is that we have a new Calder Heart on the loose. You know, and there's nobody stopping this man in his tracks.
I said my piece on it and I didn't say too much about it, but as every day passes, I see how this is going to fade into nothing. And I mean, I don't want to say that because I'm angry to the point that I want to be the one woman protest. I want to stand up in front of this office every day and say, go home, find yourself. You cannot be the leader of this nation and you still operating while these serious allegations are hanging over your head. Allegations that, but what is the status? Are they investigating? And I will be so upset to see this fade into nothingness. I can't, Janice. It really can't fade into nothingness.
Well, you know, we have always said that when we get into government, one of the things that we are going to be doing is following the money. And somebody is going to go to jail.
People and their families and their wives and all of the kids who benefit from going to school and Oxford and wherever that you got sent to school and whatnot. Why you didn't go to UE? And you know I want to talk about UE tonight, right? I do. We have 15, 16, 14 more minutes, and I do want to talk about UE tonight a little bit, as I mentioned it.
All right.
Can I talk about it now?
Go ahead.
So, Trinidad and Tobago, I am very upset by the latest occurrences that I have heard about in UE, just for the same reason that I am upset every time I have to sit down and do this frontline program and smile through what is the madness that is Trinidad and Tobago. I have been a student of UE. I have been on campus and I do know of people who have been assaulted on and around the campus. And I graduated in 2010. Before that, before I went to UE, when I was going to school, I heard about all the rapes and the assaults on campus, and I always wondered, you know, I used to hope by the time I go there, you know, I hope it's a safe kind of scene, you know, I hope I don't have to go through that. And I mean, thankfully I did not, but there were some people who were not that fortunate, and it is reprehensible, it is absolutely disgusting that you pay these fees, guild fees, which if you multiply by how many students you have in the university, they are making a lot of money. Yet I counted it today, we have 1, 2, 3 entrances to UE, yet to this day we have not been able, like this country, to secure this little dot in the center of St. Augustine. And to that young woman who was assaulted, you know, I really feel for you. I feel for anybody who has to go through, young woman, young man, anybody who has to go through that very disgusting experience of being assaulted in a place where you came to learn, a place where you came to be educated. And imagine the trauma,
it's very traumatic.
It's very, like I said, I know people who can finish school because of it, and that is really sad, and it's upsetting that is still happening. And I don't want to say that it is happening, but that it is still happening, that it has been happening for so long, and they're not doing anything about it. When I say they're not doing anything about it, I have experienced firsthand just being able to walk onto UE campus, and every time that happens, I tell myself, thank you, Lord, I'm not a killer, a murderer, a rapist, robber, anything. Because the ease in which it is easy to get onto campus is astounding. And something has to be done, though. It's our national university. When I say national, we have people. I don't know if they still do this, but there used to be an exchange program where people from other universities used to come here. But just like with the country, like I say, the more this happens, you're not going to encourage that kind of, you know, that.
They need to tighten up on the security of the university to avoid the situations like that.
There needs to be like I said, being a student there needs to be more patrols. Definitely. There are places that were just so dark, Janice, so dark on the campus itself. You're wondering, is this really a university campus?
The thing about it is there's no excuse for having more lighting because they could buy the solar energy lights. Right?
Exactly.
So if it is a question of, oh, you know, it's going to run up our TNTech bill and, you know, those kinds of excuses, those are no longer excuses because you have the solar energy lights. They're not that expensive, right? In fact, no, I think that they're even giving tax breaks if you were to start using solar energy on your property and light up the place like a bulb. So at least people will not feel, you know, afraid to be walking through campus in the dark.
Yeah, and just give them an opportunity to feel safe and to feel as if, like I said, you could be there on campus sometimes late in the night and there's so many dark places. There's hardly, at least in my time, there was not much security patrol.
Right.
And there are too many access points for people to, you know, hide somewhere and hurt you. And
it's terrible.
It's terrible, and it should not be your experience going to school. It shouldn't be experience at all,
for
of
anybody.
course. But
anybody.
but going to school, going to classes, coming from classes, commuting between your room on campus to class and having that happen to you is not right. And I am calling on the administration of the university as well as the government to take some kind of interest. We invest all this money in gates and all of that. Take some interest in what is happening on your university campus. It has been happening for too long. It needs to stop. It has to stop.
Yeah.
You all need to do better.
Yeah. You know, yesterday someone asked me about dropping some products to him at 9 o'clock in the night in South. And ordinarily it's a product that I take as part of my morning drink.
Okay.
Because it has helped me greatly with my situation, you know, and
well, you don't say product and dropping to South at 9 o'clock in the night, and it not sounds suspicious. Huh? It sounded like it was running a little drug in there, just saying.
No. The individual who ordered it, he was working because we deliver, and he wanted it either tonight or tomorrow night. No, last night or tonight, because he was working night shift at the San Fernando Hospital. So he said, look, I need to get the product, I'm going to be on shift. But luckily, I was able to arrange for him to meet the driver at the distribution center during the daytime. Because I told him, I said, look, my driver don't want to... It was the first time that, you know, I was not keen on leaving my house or even having my driver leave his home to go south at 9 o'clock in the night. That because of what is going on now with the crime situation, I am not taking that chance. I prefer to just stay at home and say, okay, here what? Let's try to arrange it for during the day, in the daylight, and you will be happy, I will be happy. Good? Because to make that trip and what's going on now, it's unbelievable. This guy, one of the hosts of Breaking Dawn, was talking about the fact he was leaving like Wallafield to go home, and there was a guy in the road, like the guy, he said like the guy was waiting on vehicles, right, to get the vehicles to stop so that they can rob the driver and any passengers in the vehicle. And this is like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you know. And I said, well, first of all, me personally, I was not going to a party in Waterfield to be driving home at 3-4 in the morning.
Do you realize that we basically have to plan our lives around?
Well, not just that. We have become a jail.
Yeah.
We don't want to leave our homes to go out anymore.
I don't know if this happens to you, but I sometimes, I mean, it doesn't happen every day, but sometimes I become very aware of where I am, where I'm living, and I mean, they say things can happen when you least expect it, and sometimes, you know, I wonder, could today be the day that the wolf reach my door? Like,
well, you see, I understand that, but you really cannot live your life like that.
I know, no, you really can't. But
because we create with our minds.
We do. But like I'm saying, sometimes, for me, I don't like to get home too late. I don't, because I have to, where I park, it's outside, and I have to walk a dark stretch, because if you know my story, I'm still waiting for TNTech or whoever, local government, or you know it bats between whoever doesn't want to accept responsibility. I'm still waiting on a street light, and like I said, I don't think about this all the time, but there's sometimes that I'm going home and it's dark, and I'm not, just recently again came off my car, did not even see a man. Dark. When I say it's dark to the point that, well, I mean, it's not that dark, but it's dark to the point that I could not see, I couldn't make out his shadow. My eyes hadn't gotten accustomed to the dark yet.
Right.
And he was walking literally alongside me. And I'm looking at him, he's in black. And of course my heart starts to beat.
Oh my
and
goodness.
It's late in the night, it is after 11 minutes to 12. And the thought came, is this going to be the night? Yeah, and I mean, it's sad, but I had the thought.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of everything that I have to do if this is going to be the night. It's me alone on the road. I don't have my rape whistle. What am I going to do? And I know you can't live your life like that, definitely not, but you
have to walk in faith.
It's kind of frightening that the thing.
You gotta walk in faith.
Today,
yeah.
Wasn't it today somebody was robbed in Westmoreland?
I'm not
Alexander Street or something like that.
I didn't hear that at all. Every time you leave your house, you gotta say a prayer and walk in faith. That's all you can do. There's nothing else. There's nothing else you can do. Everybody keeps talking, well, we want guns, we want guns. But there was a friend of mine, he's now deceased, and he was a businessman, and he had his firearm. And one evening, he locked up. He put the cash in the trunk, which is what he usually does. And he said that this guy just appeared by his window, and as he was about to bend down to reach for his firearm, the gentleman said, "Don't do it." Because obviously the man knew that he carried.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't do it, and just open the trunk for me, please." He had to open the trunk.
Make me feelings raised. That sounds creepy.
So having a firearm may not necessarily, now if you're being attacked and you are in a position to pull your firearm and respond, great, fabulous. But when you hear that click by your temple,
in a real life
situation, gun or no gun.
Look how many policemen actually got killed and pulled and robbed and all of that. Anyway, producer is saying we have 2 more minutes, and he's like staring at us with his mean eyes. Alright, we're gonna stop.
Anyway, as we come to the close of our segment, I would like to invite all members to tell your friends and family about our regular meetings, employee screening for the job seekers and housing initiatives, every Saturday from 12 noon at 19 Stanmore Avenue, Port of Spain. Come and add your voice to the conversation and meet the executive of the party. There you will be able to ask your questions. And remember, we are here to inform, empower, and to make you aware of what is going on in TNT, especially those of you who don't read the newspapers or watch local TV. I remember somebody telling me to cut my cable, right? So I said, well, how else am I going to see the local TV stations to at least know what's going on?
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
thank God for Frontline today because you and all educate me on what is happening this week. And I was wondering why are the live numbers so low tonight? Guess who forgot we were doing Frontline tonight?
Hmm.
Philip, I will get you.
Oh my
He
goodness.
totally forgot that we had Frontline tonight. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, so don't forget that you can become a volunteer and can serve on any of our committees or teams that include the National Executive, Constituency Executive, Constituency Representative, Youth Arm, Women's Arm, Security Team, Events Committee. Why should you volunteer? We believe that citizens should have a say in how they are governed. So we invite persons to volunteer to serve within our organization and help advance the vision and the mission of the Progressive Empowerment Party. One people under one flag. The Progressive Empowerment Party is a volunteer organization that depends solely on the contributions from our members to keep us funded. Our mission is to contest the next general elections, which will require significant funding. The PEP is guided by principles of transparency and accountability, and we assure you that your generosity will be used solely for the advancement of the organization as we work our way towards a better Trinidad and Tobago. The Progressive Empowerment Party will be working for you and to ensure that no citizen is left behind. So therefore, take the opportunity and become a financial member. This Saturday, we'll be having our regular PEP meeting, which will be held at 19 Stanmore Avenue, Port of Spain, starting from 12 noon. Bring your family and friends, as I indicated earlier. Come and add your voice, and let's talk politics, because that's what it is at the moment, until the Progressive Empowerment Party gets into current government. Then we can seriously talk about politics. We want to acknowledge all our members and thank all of our viewers. To those of you who are on the road, please be safe. Good night.